For weeks, the young and the restless fans have been whispering about it. A spark here, a longing glance there, a subtle shift that no one quite wanted to name. But now, the truth is becoming impossible to ignore. The real threat to Tessa Porter and Daniel Romalotti Jr. has finally arrived in Genoa City. And no, surprisingly, it's not Mariah Copeland. That's right, the soap's most intriguing, musically inclined pair is facing turbulence, and the storm brewing between them doesn't come from jealousy, past lovers, or even old wounds. Instead, the danger comes in a much more unpredictable form: ambition, timing, and one dangerously charismatic new player on the scene who knows exactly how to hit every emotional note Daniel never saw coming. The unlikely connection. Tessa and Daniel's renewed connection started innocently enough. Both had found themselves in transitional phases. Tessa, after struggling to reignite her music career post-maternity leave, and Daniel, after losing focus on his art and trying to reclaim his creative spark. It began, as these things often do, under the guise of friendship and mutual support. Mariah, ever the practical partner, encouraged Tessa to collaborate with Daniel on a creative project. After all, she reasoned, Daniel's experience in design and Tessa's musical storytelling could produce something powerful. What she didn't anticipate, however, was just how emotionally charged that collaboration would become. As their late-night brainstorming sessions turned into hours spent laughing, reminiscing, and challenging each other's ideas, something began to shift. It wasn't romantic, not yet, but there was an undeniable connection, one that both Tessa and Daniel were too busy, or perhaps too scared, to name. And then she arrived. Enter Sloane Myers. Sloane Myers, a name that already has fans buzzing across social media. The newly introduced PR consultant for Omegasphere, the tech art collective Daniel recently rejoined, Sloane is everything Genoa City's creatives either envy or fear: confident, perceptive, and always a few steps ahead. Within days of meeting Daniel, Sloane saw his potential and his vulnerability. "You're an artist who's forgotten he's a rebel," she told him in one memorable exchange at Crimson Lights. "You've been trying to make everyone happy. Maybe it's time you make yourself impossible to ignore again." It was a compliment, but also a challenge, the kind that Daniel has always found impossible to resist. Tessa, who had been sitting just a few tables away during that encounter, didn't miss the look in Daniel's eyes. Admiration, curiosity, maybe even temptation. Cracks in the harmony. For a while, Tessa brushed it off. She had no reason to be insecure. Her relationship with Mariah was solid, loving, and tested by fire. But as she watched Daniel grow closer to Sloane, she couldn't ignore the pang of concern. Their creative sessions began to change. Daniel was distracted, more ambitious, talking about branching out and doing solo work. He missed a few meetings, forgot to send over drafts, and started spending late nights at Omegasphere. When Tessa finally confronted him, his words were both reassuring and dismissive. "You're reading too much into it," Daniel said gently. "Sloane, just helping me see the bigger picture. You should be happy for me, for both of us. This could be the break we've been waiting for." But the truth is, Daniel wasn't just rediscovering his passion for art, he was rediscovering himself. And Sloane knew exactly how to feed that ego without making it obvious. Meanwhile, Tessa's own confidence began to waver. The music industry had been cold to her comeback attempts. Her last single underperformed. And while Mariah remained steadfastly supportive, Tessa couldn't help but feel like her own fire was dimming just as Daniel's was roaring back to life. Mariah sees the storm coming. Interestingly, Mariah, not known for missing a beat, sensed something was off before anyone else did. Not jealousy, per se, but an awareness that Daniel and Tessa's creative bond was deepening in a way that could complicate things. "Be careful," Mariah told Tessa one evening as they shared wine at home. "Not because I don't trust you, but because I've seen how fast things shift when people start chasing inspiration. Art is messy. Feelings get blurred." It wasn't an accusation, it was a warning born from experience. But Tessa, ever the idealist, brushed it off. "Daniel's like family," she said softly. We've been through too much for it to ever get weird. Famous last words. The betrayal no one saw coming. When the betrayal finally arrived, it wasn't a romantic one, not yet anyway. It was creative, emotional. Tessa discovered that Daniel and Sloane had pitched a new multimedia art project to Omegasphere, one based on Tessa's old, unfinished songs. Work she'd shared with Daniel in confidence, music she'd said she wasn't ready for the world to hear. To make matters worse, Sloane had already lined up investors. The pitch had been greenlit, and while Daniel insisted he did it for the art, the damage was already done. "You took my words," Tessa said, voice shaking, "and turned them into your story. That's not collaboration, Daniel, that's theft." The confrontation left Daniel rattled, and Sloane, as ever, coolly composed. "Genius isn't always polite," she said afterward, a line that may go down as one of the soap's most chilling justifications yet. The fallout. Now, the trio's creative triangle is threatening to explode into full-blown chaos. Tessa, feeling betrayed and creatively violated, is considering walking away from both Omegasphere and her musical comeback altogether. Daniel, guilt-ridden yet strangely energized, is torn between making things right and defending the artistic choices he believes could finally make him relevant again. And Sloane, she's playing the long game. Whether her motives are professional or personal remains to be seen, but one thing is clear. She's not done with Daniel or with Tessa. Meanwhile, Mariah's patience is wearing thin. Though she's trying to stay supportive, she can't ignore how much this rift is taking out of her wife. "You're letting him steal your voice," she told Tessa in a recent scene, eyes blazing. "And if you don't take it back, you'll lose more than just your songs." A new power battle. In the coming weeks, spoilers suggest that Tessa may strike back in the best way she knows how, through her music. Rumor has it she's working on a surprise performance, one that exposes the emotional truth behind Daniel and Sloane's betrayal while reclaiming her own narrative. But there's a deeper, more emotional question at the heart of this storyline. Can Tessa and Daniel's friendship survive when ambition and betrayal have blurred every line between art and ethics? What makes this twist so effective is its realism. The Young and the Restless has always thrived on passion, romantic, professional, artistic. The show understands that not every betrayal happens in the bedroom. Some happen in studios, boardrooms, and quiet late-night collaborations where hearts open and lines blur. The real threat. So yes, the biggest threat to Tessa and Daniel is Mariah. It's the intoxicating pull of ambition and the dangerous chemistry that comes with creative connection. Sloane Myers may be the spark that ignites the conflict, but the fire itself, that was already there, simmering under the surface, waiting for the right or wrong moment to explode. As the story unfolds, fans are bracing for heartbreak, but also transformation. Because if The Young and the Restless has taught us anything, it's that sometimes the biggest betrayals lead to the most powerful rebirths. And in Genoa City, where love and art collide, no connection, no matter how pure, is ever truly safe. One thing, for sure, when Tessa takes the stage again, the song she sings won't just be about love or loss. It'll be about survival and finding her voice again in a world that tried to steal it.